The Galactic Coalition Military Academy's primary firing range buzzed with low conversation as cadets from a dozen species gathered along the observation line. Towering crystalline Zeppelins adjusted precision optics, scaled Krillthor warriors rested plasma rifles against armored shoulders, and sleek Venathi officers calibrated graviton emitters that bent light around their muzzles. This was a routine comparative weapons assessment, a formality meant to showcase the Coalition's finest infantry technology. Few expected anything memorable from the newest member species. Humanity had joined the Coalition barely 5 cycles earlier. Their military doctrine was still considered primitive, their battlefield philosophies outdated curiosities discussed in xenohistory electives. When Cadet Aaron Cole stepped onto the range, the chatter grew louder. Slung across his chest was not a glowing projector or humming energy lattice, but a dull black metal object with scratches along its frame and polymer furniture dulled by use. Laughter rippled through the assembled cadets. "That's it," clicked Cerrix, a Zeppelin marksman, his faceted eyes glittering. "A solid tube with springs?" Kreller of the Krillthor clacked his mandibles in amusement. "Does it throw rocks?" Aaron didn't react. He set his range bag down carefully, posture relaxed, movements economical. He removed the weapon and checked it with practiced ease, fingers moving with unconscious familiarity. To the aliens watching, the process looked archaic. Manual, inelegant, absurdly hands-on. Instructor Valrix floated forward, his elongated form casting a shadow across the firing line. "This exercise measures maximum effective range and target lethality," he announced. "Cadets will demonstrate standard-issue infantry arms." The Krillthor volunteered first. His plasma rifle roared to life, spitting incandescent bolts that streaked across the range. Targets at 700 meters vaporized in spectacular bursts of light. The crowd murmured approval. Next came the Venathi cadet. Her graviton cannon distorted space itself, collapsing reinforced targets with silent, crushing force at 800 meters. Finally, the Zeppelin sniper fired. A focused energy lance punched clean through layered alloy at 900 meters, leaving a glowing wound that slowly cooled. Satisfied murmurs followed. Heads turned back toward the human. Aaron stepped up to the firing position without ceremony. He loaded a magazine into the weapon with a sharp click that echoed strangely in the quiet range. The sound alone drew puzzled looks. No hum, no charge cycle, no energy buildup. Kreller snorted. "Adorable." Aaron raised the rifle, sighted downrange, and squeezed the trigger. The crack of the shot snapped across the range like thunder. Several cadets flinched. Far downrange, the target center mass detonated into fragments. The laughter stopped instantly. Silence clung to the firing range as fragments of the shattered target drifted downrange, sensors struggling to reconcile the damage with the absence of any detectable energy signature. Instructor Varix's eye stalks narrowed, data streams cascading across his visor. The human weapon had produced no plasma bloom, no gravitic distortion, no residual radiation, yet the impact was undeniable. Aaron remained still, rifle shouldered, breathing steady. He didn't look back at the observers. Instead, he adjusted his stance, made a minute correction to his aim, and fired again. Crack. Another target at 1,000 meters ruptured, its composite plating torn apart from the inside out. Warning glyphs flashed across the range displays as impact readings spiked well beyond predicted tolerances. A low murmur spread through the cadets. "That distance exceeds his species' visual acuity," Cerrix muttered, recalibrating his optics. "There must be guidance assistance." Aaron fired a third time. Crack. The next target failed catastrophically, support struts collapsing as if punched by an invisible hammer. Sensors finally registered the projectile's passage. A brief, needle-thin streak of mass traveling at extreme velocity, too fast and too small for most coalition targeting arrays to track reliably. Kreller's mandibles stilled. "That is not an energy weapon," he said slowly. "No," Valrix replied, unease seeping into his tone. "It is not." Aaron ejected the magazine and replaced it with another, the metallic clatter echoing sharply against the range walls. 1,500 meters, he said calmly, voice carrying despite the distance. 5 rounds. A ripple of disbelief passed through the observers. Coalition infantry doctrine considered anything beyond 1,000 meters impractical for man-portable arms. Energy coherence degraded, graviton fields destabilized, and targeting solutions became unreliable. Aaron fired. Crack. It. Crack. It. Crack. It. Each report sounded identical. No power fluctuation, no delay, no overheating cycle. Brass casings arced through the air and struck the firing platform with hollow, ringing impacts. Downrange, 5 separate targets disintegrated in rapid succession, center mass precision so tight it bordered on surgical. Range alarms chimed frantically as systems recalculated threat profiles. This contradicts established weapons physics, a Venathi cadet whispered. Energy dispersion should be irrelevant, Aaron finished, lowering the rifle. He turned at last to face them, expression unreadable. You're projecting force. I'm delivering mass. He held up a single cartridge between his fingers. Chemical propellant. Solid projectile. No energy bleed. No signature for countermeasures to lock onto. Valrix felt a chill ripple through his neural lattice. In vacuum, he said slowly, realization dawning, there is no atmospheric resistance. Aaron nodded. Exactly. The implication settled like a shadow across the range. The firing range felt smaller now, as if the walls themselves had leaned inward to listen. Valrix drifted closer to the human firing position, his earlier authority replaced by something sharper, professional curiosity edged with caution. Around him, cadets adjusted sensors, replayed telemetry and cross-checked readings that stubbornly refused to make the results less real. You claim reliability, Valrix said. Demonstrate. Aaron nodded once. He set the rifle down, then picked it up again with deliberate care. This platform doesn't overheat under sustained fire, he explained. No capacitors to stress. No emitters to fracture. If it gets dirty, you clean it. If a part breaks, you replace it. Nothing catastrophic. He fired again. And again. And again. Crack, crack, crack. The weapon barked rhythmically, each shot identical to the last. No degradation. No drift. Targets continued to fail in precise, repeatable patterns. Coalition diagnostics flagged the weapon as mechanically crude, yet its performance metrics climbed relentlessly. Cerrix flexed his crystalline fingers uneasily. Our rifles require cooling cycles after extended discharge. Aaron glanced at him. Then you stop shooting, he said simply. Kreller shifted his weight, armored plates clicking. Plasma weapons are immune to electromagnetic interference. Aaron smiled faintly. Until someone introduces an electromagnetic pulse. He reached into his range bag and produced a small, inert device. This fries your targeting systems, collapses your firing solutions, and leaves you holding expensive clubs. The range fell deathly quiet. Our weapons, Aaron continued, don't care about EMP. They don't care about radiation spikes. They don't care if your sensors are blind. Point. Fire. Valrix's data pad chimed as predictive simulations updated. Human kinetic weapons consistently outperformed coalition arms in low-energy environments, contested electromagnetic fields and prolonged engagements. Worse, they required fewer logistical resources and less technical maintenance. You traded elegance for brutality, Valrix said. No, Aaron corrected. We traded elegance for certainty. He gestured toward the distant debris field that had once been pristine targets. Your weapons rely on controlling energy. Ours rely on momentum. Energy disperses. Momentum doesn't negotiate. The implication hit hard. Coalition shields were optimized against radiation, heat, and force fields. Solid mass at extreme velocity exploited gaps no one had bothered to close. You call it a toy, Aaron said, his voice calm but carrying weight. Because it looks simple. That's the point. Valrix made a notation, his stylus trembling slightly. Integration trials will be required. Aaron shouldered the rifle. You're welcome to borrow ours, he said. We've had centuries of practice making them better. No one laughed this time. The range remained silent long after the final shot echoed away. Automated drones drifted across the debris field, collecting fragments and scanning impact data that refused to align with coalition combat doctrine. Instructor Valrix dismissed the cadets with a sharp gesture, but none moved immediately. Eyes stayed fixed on the human and the unassuming rifle resting against his shoulder. At last, Kreller stepped forward. The Krillthor's massive frame cast a long shadow as he inclined his head, a gesture of respect rarely offered outside ritual combat. We judged your species by appearances, he said. That was inefficient. Aaron returned the nod. Happens a lot. Cerrix approached next, crystalline optics dimmed in thought. Your weapon lacks refinement, he admitted. Yet it accomplishes its purpose with disturbing consistency. Aaron allowed himself a small shrug. Refinement is useless if it fails when conditions change. Valrix floated between them, his data pad now filled with urgent annotations. Coalition projections show a 37% increase in battlefield effectiveness if kinetic infantry arms are integrated alongside existing systems, he said. Particularly in vacuum operations and electronic warfare environments. The admission carried weight. Doctrinal shifts within the coalition took decades, sometimes centuries. Yet the data was undeniable. You are willing to share this technology? Valrix asked. Aaron's expression didn't change. We already did, he replied. That's why we joined. The instructor paused, then marked a final notation. Recommendation: immediate joint training programs. Human advisors requested. He closed the pad and looked up. You have altered our understanding of modern warfare, Cadet Cole. Aaron slung the rifle across his back. We didn't invent the idea, he said. We just never forgot it. As the cadets dispersed, conversations buzzed with a new tone, not mockery but calculation. Energy weapons were powerful, elegant, advanced. But they were also dependent. Fragile in ways no one had cared to examine until now. The human weapon sat quietly, inert and unassuming, needing no power cell, no calibration cycle, no complex infrastructure. It waited only for a steady hand and a clear purpose. From an observation balcony, Valrix watched the human leave the range. The coalition had pursued sophistication for generations, mistaking complexity for superiority. Humanity had taken a different path, refining a single brutal idea until it was nearly perfect. Advancement, Valrix realized, was not always about reaching higher. Sometimes it was about striking harder. The firing range reset itself, targets rising anew. But something fundamental had shifted. Across the galaxy, strategists would soon learn a humbling truth. The so-called toy gun had never been a joke. Was a lesson.